I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Derek Lewis. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
You know, I am at peace and all is right with the world.
Oh, that's wonderful. What part of the world are you in right now, Derek?
I'm about an hour away from New Orleans. That's usually how we try to give everybody the geography.
Oh, well, I love the twang on your tongue, right? I love it. Yeah, it's definitely there. Well, tell me which of your talents is responsible for us connecting.
I stumbled into ghostwriting. So, ghostwriting is where you are not the writer or the author of your own works, but you are the medium, the scribe, if you will, of other people's works. So I have the ability to be able to listen to people's disparate, crazy, unorganized thoughts and be able to bring them together in a way that actually makes sense and makes for a great book.
Yeah. And I think, so I'll jump straight into the idea that we connected via the podcast you have. And in getting the opportunity to listen to that podcast, it was evidently clear that you are a great listener. Who did you learn that skill from? Well, let's just say the name of the podcast first. So he is the host of the Business Book podcast, right? But who did you learn that skill from, that ability to listen really intentionally?
I think it's because by my nature, I'm a pretty introspective person. I'm an introvert, and studies show that introverts, we focus less on chit chat and conversation for the sake of conversation. Whenever they analyze introverts and introverts' thought patterns, they find that introverts like there to be a point to a conversation. And so whenever I'm talking to somebody, what I want to do is just naturally be talking for a reason or be listening for a reason. And so for ghostwriting, it's easy because they're making a point. They're not talking just to fill the space. They're actually delivering ideas and content. So I think mostly it's an outgrowth of being an introvert who is innately curious. I love to learn.
Yeah.
And so you put those two together and it makes for a listener who's actually interested in listening.
Yeah, it makes a great podcaster, right? Well,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it does. The it was fascinating. So you were interviewing. I tried to remember his name. I think it's. Is it Jack? Was his name? 1 second.
Jack Mitchell.
There we go, Jack Mitchell. And
yeah, hug your customers.
Right,
wonderful man.
Right, and the fact of the matter is, after going on, and he's going on not because he's blabbering, right? He's going on because he's filled with knowledge, right, and experience. And you gave him the space, and it was fascinating to see him come full circle around to ask, so what do you think? I'm really intrigued to know, or interested in knowing what you think. And I think that's the value, that exchange when you are really involved in a conversation, which is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at it poetically, it's like a dance where you have one partner who leads for a while, and then they give the lead to the other partner. But you both have to be in sync in order for it to move fluidly without stumbling over each other. There'll be some kind of fumble or awkwardness. And whenever those two people can just naturally move and sense the way that the conversation flows, it makes for something really magical.
It does. Given that and saying that, the fact that sometimes, metaphorically speaking, we get our toes mashed, right? Why will you continue to repeat that skill of listening?
Well, because a skill by definition is something that you have, an activity or something that you have put enough practice into that you have mastered. And so even whenever we get our toes stepped on, or even whenever we get embarrassed or we fall flat on our face, that's really the only way that we can ever get better. If we only operate within our comfort zone, then we will never grow beyond that shallow experience. In order to grow beyond that, in order to master something greater, we have to at first attempt it. And so, if I ever want to be truly great at listening, I have to keep on making mistakes and stumbling and fumbling my way through conversations, and try to be introspective, try to constantly become better, while at the same time being confident in what I'm able to do at this level of skill.
Love it. Derek, what or where is the best place for us to connect with you if we're interested in the ghostwriting skills, which is just one of the many hats you wear? Where would you send us?
Home base is my website, dereklewis.com, DEREKLEWIS. And of course, I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and I do a lot of great quotes, finding a lot of great quotes and putting them together on Pinterest.
Love it, love it. Oh, Derek, please do tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
One thing that I have done consistently over the past 3 years is to believe in myself, even whenever I'm going through a hard time in my business, or I'm going through a time of self-doubt. I hang on to the belief that there is more, that this is not all that there is, that I am meant and destined for something greater, that I have the potential in me to not only overcome whatever I'm going through, but to come out a better person on the other end. So just basically the faith that the sun will come out tomorrow.
How does that make you feel while you're going through that process?
Hypocritical every now and then. Sometimes makes me feel foolish that I'm trying to hold on to optimism and the faith in the face of this crazy reality of life that we have. But in the end, I'm always justified by the fact that it is always better. I am living a better life in a better place as a better person. And the biggest leaps in my growth as a person, personally and professionally, have been because of the adversity that I've faced. So I hate the adversity in the moment, but at the same time, once I'm through it, I'm grateful that it happened, because it forces you to become a better person.
Why would you suggest to someone out there that you be saying, hey, adversity, no, on every corner, hey, I'm turning in the next direction? Why would you suggest they do what you've done by approaching it the way you have?
I would not actually advise anybody to follow in my footsteps. In fact, I tell my my ghostwriting students, don't do like I did. Don't be dumb. Learn from my mistakes so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. Learn from other people's failures as much as you can, so that the failures that you have are failures that you couldn't have avoided. But what I would tell people is that there are wonderful people out there. And the more that you surround yourself with those great people, the more they will help you see the incredible potential that you have. And that is what makes the difference. That is what helps you determine where you should go in life, the decisions that you should make, the values that you should have. And the more that you surround yourself with great people who love you, who support you, who encourage you, the happier that you're going to be on this path of life.
Amazing audience. We are live with Derek Lewis. He is the business ghostwriter, right? You could definitely check him out, and the host of the Business Book podcast. Derek, let's switch gears for a moment now and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Derek, what is your earliest childhood memory?
My paternal grandfather. I remember standing in front of his as a child. I was probably 3.5, maybe 4, and I would get a huge. He wore these white undershirts, these white T-shirts, and I remember standing in front of his Chester drawers and opening it and finding that T-shirt, and then I would run to him, and I only had my underwear on. I had taken all my other clothes off. Apparently, this is something that I did every time I went over there, but I would take all my clothes off, so I only had my underwear on, and I'd give him the T-shirt, and I remember raising my arms straight up, and I remember him smiling, and then kind of scooting forward in his chair a little bit so that he could lean forward and put the T-shirt on me, and I remember his little kind of wry grin. And that's not only is that the earliest memory I have, but that's actually the only memory of him I have.
Wow. Why do you think this memory is so clear?
It's funny, the things that stick with you, the little moments that at the time are inconsequential. I've never stopped to ask myself why this moment. I think probably because I knew that I was loved. I knew that it was fun. I knew that what I did was funny for some reason. And I remember that smile, just that one moment of that wry smile.
Wow. Well, Derek, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created
Please.
In my mind? Ooh, I love the idea, first of all, of the big T-shirt and the ghostly look, right? that white T-shirt gives, right? Like, I love that. And then secondly, I love the idea of you said something on the podcast to your guest, and you said to him, the person who is doing ghostwriting, who is just meeting, and it's just face value, and they write the book and then that's it, is a fraud, compared to the person who has the skill, if you would, very similar to what the person is wanting to put on paper, and then executes doing that through the lenses of the individual. And I found that to be fascinating and connecting now to you putting on your grandfather's T-shirt and just embodying who he is at that point. But even in your explanation, the way you explained it, it seems as though it connected the story not only from your eyes, but the way he would have said it. And that, my friend, is absolutely fascinating.
I've never thought of it like that. That's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. If we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
At 12?
Yeah.
Let's see. If I was 12, you have to do it by grades.
Right.
So I would have been in 7th, 8th grade?
Yeah.
Let's see. So probably my friend had just introduced me to Celine Dion. So it would probably be, what's that? Falling Into You?
Oh, there we go. Yeah. It's really amazing how these things connect. I mean, like the T-shirt is just like falling into you, right? Wow. All right, Derek. Hey, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's going to be yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Derek?
Yes or no? Rapid fire. Yes.
There we go. Have you chosen someone, Derek, to pass on your skills to?
No.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Sometimes.
All right. What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Less than 8.
Derek, after 1,001 conversations in 3 months in 2016, I came up with a workbook. The name of it is called Yours. It stands for Your Own Unique Real Self. And my idea is that as you answer these questions, you uncover your mission, which is your own unique real statement. If you had to share with us, Derek, your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Derek Lewis, what would you say that is?
God has charged me with the purpose of helping wonderful books come into the world that change the world for the better.
Love it. Derek Lewis, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
One quote that I always love to leave people with is by the great comedian Groucho Marx. And he said, if you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong.
Well, it's all about fun here, folks. It's all about fun here. Derek Lewis, again, one more time, this was a great pleasure. Thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
A pleasure and an honor.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.